Previously on the Insurance Apprentice.
We did have a top score today, and this individual was actually substantially higher than the rest of the group. And I'd like to congratulate Memory. You are the top scorer in the group today, and well done for that.
Thank you.
But I'm not done. You've all been given a piece of paper. I mentioned this morning that there's someone among you that has been coasting. We cannot have this person moving forward into the top 4. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to write down the name of the next person to leave the Insurance Apprentice 2020. In this instance, the highest score is immune. You may not vote for Memory. Memory, you must still cast a vote. Please write down the names. JP, please reveal your vote. Amal.
In my view, he seems to be the one coasting. He seems like a dark horse. He seems to be in the background, and then these slight moments where he has some excellence, but for the most part it seems like he's in the background.
Are you sure this isn't a tactical move on your part? You don't perceive him as being your biggest threat?
No.
Spamandla? Sebastian. Why Sebastian?
I say Sebastian because sometimes I think he doesn't execute on some of his brilliant ideas.
You seem to have been working well together.
Yes, we do, and we go way back because we are friends.
This is how you treat your friends?
No, this is a competition, as you've said, and I hope the best man or woman does win.
Okay, so we've got 1 vote for Amal and 1 for Sebastian. Sebastian? Spamandla. Oh, you guys are good buddies. This is fantastic. I'd hate to be outside of your circle of friends. Why?
So when it comes to coasting, I believe that I have played my part in this competition. I have executed a lot of things that I've done. But I don't think Spamandla has done as much.
You two didn't discuss this and decided if you were ever in an elimination scenario you would vote for each other?
No, we didn't.
Definitely not.
Okay, so we've got 1 vote for Amal, 1 vote for Sebastian, and 1 vote for Spamandla. Memory, could you reveal your vote? Sebastian. Why Sebastian?
I think the Insurance Apprentice is more than just a competition. It's also about finding an ambassador for the industry. I think as much as we joke around, I think when we present ourselves in front of the judges, we need to show integrity. I think today, especially in this challenge, the fact that the green scorpions he didn't know and he just went around it and then confessed that he actually didn't know does a disservice to our industry.
But do you think that's an integrity issue, or is that just a lack of knowledge? You're suggesting that he deliberately misled us.
We would rather have an ambassador that doesn't know and admits that he doesn't know, as opposed to an ambassador that doesn't know and pretends to know.
So we've got 2 votes for Sebastian, 1 for Spamandla, and 1 for Amal. Amal, I know you said you never wanted to do this again, but it is probably all down to you. Please reveal your vote. And the fifth person to leave the Insurance Apprentice 2020 is Sebastian. You're dismissed.
Thank you very much. What I'm mostly shocked by is how I was voted out.
I'm actually speechless. It's not easy to vote someone and then you have to also elaborate why you voted for that person.
You obviously develop a relationship with one another, so nobody wants to do that, vote each other off.
I did feel that memory tried to assassinate my character.
I'm upset because I was made to vote out somebody I've come to like, really.
Questioning my integrity, and it was not called for. I'd rather be fired based on how I performed for the day, not on being eliminated by a vote on the basis of integrity. I mean, really? Are you serious? So yeah.
The only area that I could fault was one that made me feel like I'm setting out my friend, and that I did not appreciate.
In this competition, I've learned that I have so much of ideas. I learned how much of strength I do have, how much of character I have, and how much more I can offer the industry.
It's the second time I've had to do this, having to be the person to actually cast the final vote, similar to, I think it was week 3. So yeah, maybe it's a test of whether I want this and how far I'm willing to go. And I guess if the judges are watching this, I'm willing to go all the way.
The Fire Protection Association of Southern Africa was established in 1973 as a non-profit organization. The FPASA provides education and training as well as fire-related consultancy services, inclusive of insurance-specific projects. The impeccable reputation of the FPASA makes it an ideal location for this week's Insurance Apprentice 2020 task.
Last week was quite intense.
A very difficult and technical task, and the elimination round threw another spanner in the works.
Last week was horrible. My worst nightmare came true.
They told us to write the name and hide the paper, so we obviously thought that someone's going to come with a hat or a dish to take the papers, and then they said, reveal your vote.
So it was very draining from both a mental and emotional point of view.
Having to vote off somebody else and having to explain why. My mind went blank.
So Memory's reasoning for voting out Sebastian, I think, was difficult to comprehend because from my personal perspective, I don't agree with that.
It was my worst nightmare come true. Thinking on the spot, I probably should have been more considerate because the things I did say were not the best things to say to someone.
Good morning, apprentices. Welcome to Task 6 of Insurance Apprentice 2020.
Emerald finds mitigating fire very important.
We're holding it at the Fire Protection Association of Southern Africa's School and College in Boksburg. Today's task is about fire, risk management and risk control.
I expect to be stretched.
I'm expecting something challenging, something primarily involving property underwriting, which is not something I'm comfortable with.
So listen, read the stuff that you're given, the information you're given in the packs, and you'll do fine.
So I think there will definitely be a surprise in store for us.
Now we're going to hand over your uniforms for the day, for the task.
I've made up my mind not to expect anything and just hope for the best and hope I survive the day.
Let's change and get on with today's task.
In my mind, I'm thinking, are we going to have a technical task or are we going to have a practical task?
In front of us we have 4 sets of breathing apparatus. These gentlemen from the FPA College of South Africa are going to help you put this kit on, and this will be part of your physical part of the task today.
I think I've come to accept that each week is getting harder, not easier.
We're gonna do Armageddon. We're gonna be like
walking through.
when the fire is behind us, going boom.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for us because we're visually impaired. So we're probably going to be falling over our feet.
I'm presuming we're going to be putting out a fire. We underwrite a lot of fire risk in our line of business, and it's sometimes important to understand what that really means.
I don't think I'm that excited.
I'm excited. I'm also quite nervous. How are we going to run with these things in our
They
bags?
said we're gonna have to keep it on for 30 minutes. I can barely breathe.
Oh no, gosh.
What do you think
But
the
at
red button's
least-
for? In case of emergency.
You press that, and then what happens?
So I'm a little bit unnerved. I'm really not sure.
Hello, apprentices. I see you've got your breathing apparatus on. Is it comfortable?
No.
Is it heavy?
Yeah.
If you think this is hard, wait till you get to the task.
It was extremely hard. The oxygen tank was a bit heavy. I respect these guys.
Welcome to FPASA's Firegrounds, where you will be extinguishing fires. As soon as you approach the fire and you feel that radiant heat against your body, that's where you stay. I'm going to demonstrate to you how to extinguish a pan fire, and then it'll be your turn. So remember the pass method. Pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze and sweep. So, who would like to go first?
So when I saw those flames being lit, I was like, it's getting real.
I love adventure, so putting on the mask and wearing a firefighting suit was so exciting.
I think as insurance professionals, we did this hands-on approach just to give us a bit of context, even in terms of our work.
Welcome to Task 6 of the Insurance Apprentice 2020. I'd just like to start off by addressing the elephant in the room. We saw Sebastian leave the competition following a group vote. And the reason that was given by you, Memory, was that you felt Sebastian lacked integrity. For somebody to hear that is quite devastating to them personally, to their reputation. And I can tell you that he left the competition far more upset by his integrity being called into question, rather than him even being eliminated.
I think being put on the spot, I panicked. It's regrettable, there's no excuse for it. I'm glad that I got to apologize to him.
I think we need to remember that we all have lives to go back to after this is concluded. Okay, so today's task, again, we're fortunate to have a repeat sponsor. Emerald have been with the show, I think, almost since the beginning. And I'm joined today by Carla Jordan and Chris Potter.
My name is Carla Jordan. I am the CFO and the Senior Executive of International Business at Emerald Risk Transfer. So the task today is a little bit different, I think, from the other tasks you may have already done, and you might have realized that just from the setting that you're in today. And we wanted to give the apprentices today a little bit of exposure to risk management and surveys, and something that maybe they haven't been exposed to before. At Emerald, risk measurement, mitigation and management is a key part of our approach to underwriting a risk. Key to really our success as underwriters and as a company is being able to mitigate and manage risk environments. You will be presented with a risk survey report prepared by our late Chief Risk Engineer, Anand Manilal. Unfortunately, he never had a chance to put together his risk recommendations, motivations and timelines thereof prior to his passing. We have a survey that the apprentices will have to review and give some risk recommendations on. And we've also had a lecture from the FPASA this morning about the different types of fire and how to fight them. Don't forget to use the information and learnings that you've had from this morning's activities to help you on your way.
Listen more than you talk. You're welcome to ask questions during the sessions where you're studying the material.
Yeah, good luck to all of you. So you're going to be split into two teams. So in Team 1, I've got Amogelang and Spamandla, and in Team 2, I've got Memory and JP. Thank you.
I think the strategy is what we've used in the past and seems to have been successful, where we split responsibility.
I was paired up with Memory for the 4th time. So you're going to give the summary of the natural hazard exposures. She was visibly upset and it seemed to be occupying most of her attention. And I said to her, look, I understand it's difficult, but we have a task to do. Can we please do this?
Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's good. She has certain tendencies which I think people have difficulty dealing with. She's very opinionated. If there's a task, I just want to get on with the task. The deadline.
Yes,
the
deadline
is
just saying it's a date.
Emerald has tasked us with essentially finishing off a risk assessment report.
Remember they mentioned something around reducing and, where was it? Reducing and oxidizing agents.
I really enjoyed working with Amo. I've worked with him before and I always love how he thinks strategically.
I said there should be a proper separation between the hexane plant and the expeller plant.
Working with JP today was very different. I thought I was not focused in terms of, because of what happened last week.
Memory has a tendency to not work well in a team. I know that everybody seems to know that already.
The one thing that does concern me is that I've been in here 4 times and I haven't actually heard you speak to each other once.
I think maybe I was naive in thinking that for this she would be a bit more collaborative.
When stress levels were getting to me, Amo could bring me back and say, you know what, let's focus on the task, let's not stress, let's stay calm.
Nearly just about identified and discerned all of the issues that we think are going to be a problem, then start unpacking out the report.
Yeah, then we actually start drafting it.
Timing yourselves.
Yes.
You seem very organized and I like the way you guys are working together.
The most challenging part about the assignment that we've given is the volume of work that we've given. We really need to quickly discern what's happening in that document and start putting those thoughts onto paper.
JP has been calm throughout this competition. I think today was the first time that I've seen him a little bit unnerved.
So you're doing a report summarising the survey, yeah? I'm going to be impressed when you get it together in time, but because I don't think you've got enough time left, but that's fine, it's just me.
I do think we took too long in terms of working alone, and that the client also mentioned. So let me finish it and then we can go through each one when I'm done.
And I said to her, look, we need to work on something very quickly and we need to put down recommendations.
Sorry, I'm just trying to copy this thing over because it's not working.
The last hour we should have really been working on one computer and making sure all the information was in the document.
Right now, before you go in, I feel stressed. I feel nervous, but the reason being is that I'm not comfortable that we're 100% ready.
Gentlemen, welcome back. The floor is yours.
I think at these last stages you need to be able to bring your A game.
Our risk engineer did a survey on forward seed processes. My colleague is just going to run through the allied perils and also the risks that we found, the recommendations, and some timelines.
We found that the natural catastrophes exposures are pretty low. What we've seen, and you'll see once we go into the risks, is that there's dust accumulating, and we'll then also recommend how we should improve that.
So we are suggesting that the storage units that contain all the oxidizing agent chemicals, they be stored in one place. Then within 2 meters, then you can store all your reducing agent type of chemicals.
One of the big risks that we have identified is within the bulk storage. So what we've seen there is that there's some sodium vapor lights that are used within the storage. This presents a combustible risk. And for us to mitigate that, we then recommend that you should have dry chemical powder extinguishers within this plant.
Also on that, we are saying the client should have an electrical certificate on site to show that an electrician has came in on site and actually has checked the electricity that's going around all the equipment that our client has.
The electrical inspection, how often should that be undertaken?
There should be an annual certification. Every year, an electrician must come and survey the entire premises.
And if he comes and finds out that either one or two or none of the electrical items or apparatus are in compliance, then what?
We are giving the client 2 months to ensure that the findings of the electrician are implemented. If within those 2 months our client doesn't comply, unfortunately would have to start excluding cover.
We also have a risk within the processing plant. Again, in there, they use sodium vapor lamps. There's also an exacerbation from the dust accumulation that takes place. The ideal solution to mitigate against this would have to have a delinter, and we would implement this at the weighbridge so that we can then start delinting our cotton processes.
I just have one question. If you had to sort of put things in an order for the client of what you would like them to concentrate on first, what would you say are sort of the top 3 things you would like to see them do immediately?
We did mention that there are some easy quick wins, and we expect those to be implemented relatively immediately. So from cutting the grass, implementing some of the process changes within the operation. But what we do see as high up on the priority list is the hexane plant. We do believe that that's one of the largest risks that the operation finds itself in. So regular maintenance is also one of the quick wins.
I kind of get a sense you might have sort of hit a few of the issues here, but it's, if you were to give this to me, to a client, I can't follow it easily.
I think we generally had a good approach to our preparation in terms of discerning the key issues.
This ranking column is just completely blank.
It looks like you've just thrown some answers in there. There's some good things in here, some good ideas, but you've not got them to maturity with regards to presenting them to us on this presentation.
We've had a bad day in the office, and whether that bad day outweighs the positive throughout is down to them.
You have to be professional about it when you're presenting a document to them and having a discussion which might involve them spending many millions of rands.
Just in terms of what I'm seeing here, I agree that the report looks rushed. Even in your presentation, you could have ranked and motivated. And that is important because at the end of the day, a decision must be taken.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Being in front of those judges, it is scary.
What they said was more impressive than if you looked at the piece of paper. But if you give a client this piece of paper, that's what they're going to act on.
Anyone that knows me knows that I'm fairly level-headed. I'm always calm and collected.
Emery, JP, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm worried about how we're ultimately going to perform because he doesn't seem to be in his element.
Forward seed processes basically is a extraction plant extracting oil from cotton seed. Essentially it consists of 2 main elements, which is the extraction of the oil from the seed, as well as the separation of the seed and the meat, which they refer to as the oil cake.
Can I just interrupt for a moment, because you're presenting to the client and you're describing my own processes to me, and I'm worried that you're spending a lot of time on that and we're going to run out of time before we get to the risk recommendations, which is really the heart of the report.
So moving along to the characteristics of the particular property, water is supplied from one main supply source. That is a problem because obviously with regard to the particular works that are carried out to that area, where there is a concern regarding the adequacy of the fire prevention systems and mechanisms, and for that reason one cannot just have one single source of water supply.
Are you happy with the construction of the property in general? It's a mixture of steel, thatch, brick, all of those, or do you see any inherent risk there?
So the actual construction of the buildings is adequate for that particular operation, except for the thatch roof, and one has to consider those particular risks. We noted that there were 2 thatch structures located on the property, and that will also be covered moving along to the recommendations.
The fact that this survey has been done is a very good start because the risk assessment has been done. Critically is that the risk processes have not been documented. That means that you don't know who is responsible for ensuring that particular risks are taken care of, and that's why I think critical to ensuring efficient risk management is that we change the risk culture. One of the things we'd recommend is that we keep a risk register. The The risk register would tell us the type of incidents that, for example, have occurred, the losses that were accrued as a result of those losses, and in that way you can keep track of whether there's improvement or we have retracted. The risks that would be put in the red areas will be those risks that if they occur, the financial impact is very high. The green ones, if they occur, the financial impact will be very low. And through this risk mapping, you'll be able to say what are the risk mitigations that would be appropriate. So a critical element is changing the culture in relation to risk of the company as a whole. I think if you leave...
We have a bad culture in the company.
Pardon?
You said improve the culture. Do we have a bad risk culture in the company? What's happening? Do we have to fire somebody? I mean, I don't know. What people are not obviously paying attention to risk management. I thought we had a good team.
Yeah, you said there wasn't enough data to back up any assumption that there'd been a deterioration in the risk.
Yeah.
But you're suggesting that the culture in the business needs to improve around risk management.
Initially, the owners of the property had indicated quite positive attempts to address risk management. However, on further interrogation, it seems that those things have not been done.
You do realize you're presenting to the client and you're telling the client that they haven't done anything since the last report was done.
In terms of the diesel storage, storing it in a bad area with 10...
Mary, can I just stop you? I think the question is, why are you saying to us that we don't have a good culture of risk management?
You've read a survey and you put a spreadsheet together with some high-low stuff and said vacuum and you need to get a professional in. Where's the timelines? Where's the actual risk improvements? If you have another document, I will openly apologize in front of everybody.
The risk map was simply to illustrate where the risks are. In terms of our recommendations, for example...
Where's the dates? There's no dates. There's no timeline. Stop talking. Stop talking. We asked for an actual date for each risk improvement. You have not produced that, okay? You've not completed the task, right?
No motivations either.
Nothing. Zero.
This actually looks like one of those kind of templates that you could drop onto any risk. I can't even tie it to specific parts of the insured's property. But where does that fit into this matrix here?
We must apologize that in printing that document, we were working on separate computers, so in bringing it together, we couldn't get the information onto one document.
Okay, did I not tell you when I came into that room? Work together. Use the information you have, read the task properly.
Thanks, you guys can get out of here.
I was just panicking because I knew exactly what's going to happen and what I anticipated happened.
I think the client was borderline very pissed off, borderline very disappointed, because one of the things he kept mentioning is that I kept coming to you guys to advise you on working together, and you guys did not work together.
Today it was disappointing, so if I go, I go. If I stay, then I stay.
The judges were very disappointed. I think our report was sloppy.
I think the winning group is relatively clear. I don't think there can be any doubt about that. But they didn't really hit everything in the presentation, did they?
I thought they did well, relative to the other group who just bombed out to the point where I actually feel offended that I've wasted my day.
You just wanna drop your presentation and run away.
It just spiraled out of control and I think I lost my cool.
Their document was quite poor. If it was a real situation, that document would not have cut it.
My primary concern is, I have said every day I think that the contestants should read the mandate.
Yeah. I think our start was very shaky. I think not knowing who we're presenting to was a critical error.
I think they skated through it. Neither of them wanted to commit to being the person that said anything in case it were wrong, and they lost.
I think the biggest problem was that they actually didn't even speak to each other throughout the whole task.
The other team were motivated to do it. They engaged with each other.
You know, we've looked at the scores. They're literally the same in the losing group. So deciding who goes home today, to me, it's not clear. We have to let one person go today.
I'm waiting for the judges' feedback, but I'm very disappointed.
For the session now, the debriefing session, I'm just gonna be myself.
So should we get them back in?
Get them back in, yeah.
I want to thank Emerald Africa for sponsoring another great task, and in particular Carla and Chris. We really appreciate your support. I'm going to reserve my comments until after. Carla?
One team for me achieved about 70% of the brief. Even though the document wasn't pristine, they did cover a lot of other stuff in their presentation verbally. The other team, unfortunately, I think missed it completely. They didn't even know who they were presenting to, and I think it was really down to a lack of teamwork and a lack of cohesiveness and working together and understanding the end game.
I don't know what to say. I'm almost lost for words. One team tried very hard. They communicated together throughout the day and watched it when we were mentoring them and going in and out of the study rooms. They worked together. The other team, I felt, and I'll say it to you honestly, guys, I felt that you were trying to cover your bases for yourself, not as a team.
Thanks, Chris. Nadia?
We had one team that I think really tried very hard and was able to address some of what we needed. And then the other team that just, again, didn't respond to the mandate. And for me, it's such a simple thing. You might not do an amazing job, but if you simply respond to what's being asked, we have an opportunity to engage with what you're telling us.
Yeah, guys. Well, let me say this. The winning team was obvious. Amu and Sipamandla, you really did a great presentation. As Carla had said, there were bits and pieces missing from the document, but you were able to fill in the blanks convincingly. 70% of the way there, not what I would expect for the top four. You know, you'd expect 80, 90% of the task to be completed. The problem we have, which was contrary to what we normally experience at this stage, is that it became almost impossible in the losing group. In fact, it is impossible for us to decide between you. Memory and JP, you're in the losing group today. That's obvious. And after deliberating for nearly an hour, unable to decide who the person should be to leave us. And I have to tell you, the temptation was there. I even suggested it to my colleagues that we let both of you go today. So somebody's actually going to scrape through today. I'd like both of you to step forward, please. We've walked in here today as judges, unable to make a decision. Now I'm going to give each of you 1 minute to convince us why you're the contestant that deserves that position in the final task. We will then take a vote. I will be abstaining from the vote, so there's no chance of there being a tie.
Emily, I think you should go first.
I think that our performance today is inexcusable. As you have pointed out, we did not work as a team. I think that is very unfortunate given how far we are in the competition. I do think that the emotional aspect, of this competition, I was not emotionally ready for. And I think today was a big learning curve for me. I think given a second chance, I would like to do better.
Thank you. JP?
I think two things I'd like to highlight. Firstly, throughout this competition, I've been fairly consistent in my performance, level-headed, a team player. I've encouraged and tried to influence my team in all the tasks that we had, and I think the work that I have speaks for itself. Today, unfortunately, it was completely out of character. Unfortunately, when we went into this task, I tried my best to work with memory, and unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to communicate with her. Even before a presentation, she literally just says, I can't do this, I can't speak beforehand. it's like we were working in a silo. At the initial stage of the preparation, she was more concerned about what was said regarding the elephant in the room this morning at the briefing session. And from there, it was just very, very
Time's
difficult.
up. Thank you, JP.
Right, I think we're... Right, Carla, who's your vote the person that should leave the competition today?
I'm voting for JP.
Okay, that's one for JP. Nadia, who should leave the competition today?
My vote is for memory.
One for JP, one for memory. Chris, the deciding vote is yours. Who should leave the competition today?
JP.
JP, you're dismissed.
The performance was pathetic. It really was pathetic, and I'm disappointed. I'm annoyed. Maybe to be more clear, it's not even the competition. I'm just feeling like this is not me. Quite frankly, I can go away from this and feel quite satisfied and content. It's disappointing because I set a high bar for myself, and this is not the outcome that I anticipated or wanted. Like I said, this is completely away from the competition. This is just about me.
I really didn't like the way he just threw it completely under the bus, and I think that speaks to the character of the individual. I'm sorry. He blamed it all on her.
After she took the accountability, he had the opportunity to...
And he kept talking about everything else he had done. Well, I'm sorry, I haven't been here for everything else he's done. All I've seen is today, and today he did nothing.
Take a look at the three finalists.